Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm sorry. It's an hour and 17 minutes long, and for that, I apologize. And I get that's long. I get that it's too long. So for that, I'm sorry. But the original conversation, when we sat down, was over an hour and a half. I did my best to edit out a few minutes here and there, tried to buy some time back, but it ultimately landed at an hour and 17. So for that, I apologize. But this person, his name, his presence, his involvement, and his contribution to the local pickleball community here in Kingston, Ontario, simply deserved that amount of time. He has a super dry sense of humor. In fact, that's probably what he's best known for. He's an okay pickleball player, but he certainly is a great jokester. And I think you're going to love this conversation. He came at me immediately out of the gate, but I was ready for him. I knew it was coming, and I think I had a good comeback. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Kingston Racket Center's David Boussier on today's edition of Kitchen Conversations.
People talk a lot, okay? People come in and they say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's about I believe it's about a 5% execution rate.
Yeah.
So to be here this quickly after you started the conversation and to see how beautiful this studio is and what you've done all on your own just using YouTube, apparently. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Good for you. The only other thing I'd say, it was a pleasure meeting your mother. And even though you live in the basement with your mom and you said it's to take care of her.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? That's very, very nice of you. And I'm going to go with that.
It's all about the inheritance. Like, I don't really care about her. I just want her money. So I figure if I'm good to her at this point, maybe that'll work out. Because I do have a brother, and I think I'm in competition for that. So appreciate you mentioning Mom, and she's usually not sober by this time of the day. So it's a real treat that you got to meet her for sure.
So just to preface this for anybody who has to listen to this or randomly decides to listen, you'll find out that I have ADHD and a very dry sense of humor. So if you don't mind keeping me on the track. So basically grew up in Montreal, Anglophone, many years ago. And let's see here. Reason why I ended up in Ontario. Yeah. So what happened was I still consider myself a Montrealer. I'm the most Francophone person in my family. And even when my dad, who stayed his whole life in Montreal, I still am the one that can speak the most French. And I love the culture of Quebec and the French music and everything. And anytime people come into the Dome or anytime I come into contact with anybody Francophone, yes, I'm definitely trying to speak French because I don't want to lose it. However, things got, as you know, I mean, in the 70s and in the 80s and the 90s, and even to this day, there are political issues in Quebec. So I actually went through 2 referendums in my life. The first one I was, I don't know how old it was. I think that was, I can't even remember what year that was, but maybe 1980 or something. But and I was involved, politically. We were, putting flyers for the no side, of course. And eventually, fast forward, I'm working at Radio Shack. If you remember Radio.
Yeah, there's a name from the past. Yeah, blast from the past.
You may have actually purchased equipment for this at one time if Radio Shack still existed.
It would have been my first stop, for sure.
Go. Yeah. So I'm working at Radio Shack in 1995. And by the way, I've had about 60 jobs. Okay, so there's some kind of an issue.
Well, let's talk about all 60.
All of those bosses.
That's great.
But anyway, so I'm working at Radio Shack.
Right.
There's a referendum coming up. A buddy of mine actually was having brain surgery. My best friend, Jamie, was having brain surgery the day of the referendum.
Wow.
So he went in. It was like a 10-hour surgery. You got to stay awake because they, move your fingers, etc. So he went in Canada, and he didn't know when he was coming out if it was going to be Canada or Quebec. But anyway, So the referendum happens. It's so close. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
It was tight.
And, now at that point I am fairly bilingual, to speak and to serve customers and all that stuff. But eventually I'm like, oh boy, this is kind of getting scary. And then I think the clincher for me deciding to leave and go to Ontario was getting fired in French and not understanding what was happening with the district manager.
Right.
Who only spoke French.
Okay.
So I actually asked him, I said, listen, can I just ask you a question in English? And he said, sure. And I said, are you firing me? And he said, yes, I am. And I said, okay. So, by the way, just for anybody out there, if you ever hear the word congédié, that means fired in French.
That's not a good day.
Yeah.
Okay. Good
Well,
to know.
it depends on the job.
Fair point.
So I said, okay, perfect. So, delivered Chinese food under the table while I was getting the unemployment insurance for a few months. That's long enough now, I believe, that they can't come after me. And then had an uncle who worked for Southam Publishing. I don't know if you remember Southam, Conrad Black.
Yeah, absolutely.
Famous Canadian.
Yeah.
And that was in Toronto. He had a buddy who was able to get me a small, like, entry-level position in Toronto.
Okay.
So I got to move to Toronto. At that point, my mom and stepdad had already moved to Oakville. So, like, they were with CTV and CBC. They were in broadcasting, actually.
Right.
So anyway, I had a place to stay when I actually got to Toronto. And I started working as a business-to-business collector in Toronto. At the same time, this will end eventually, I promise.
No, keep going. I love it.
The
It's a great
podcast
story.
might just end with this question.
That's good. We got all day.
Howard Stern came to Canada at that time. So that would have been around 1996.
Yeah.
And we had Q107 there. And I think before Stern, it was John Derringer.
Sure, Derringer in the morning.
Now
Yeah.
disgraced, but
Well, that happens.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm listening to Howard Stern. I'm collecting money in between calls from businesses and whatever at a desk and enjoying. Like, I didn't think I'd like Howard Stern, but I'm actually, captivated, not agreeing with like half the stuff he says, but it was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
So then I'd always wanted to go into radio. And so eventually I decide that, within 3-4 years, whatever, I ended up at Belleville Loyalist College. Studied radio, did a fast track. And then from there, I met somebody that came to talk to our class. We've talked about that. From a radio station in Kingston. Kingston, when you're in Belleville, which is, if anybody's not familiar with this part of Canada, Belleville is probably like 60,000 people, and Kingston is the big city. It's like 130,000 people.
Yeah.
So if you can do radio in Kingston, it's a good place to start. So I got a job right out of the gate before. I didn't even go to my grad at Loyalist College, which was okay because I was 33 years old. So
Sure. You were time to move on. Time to get on with it. Time to get out of your mom's basement.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
fair.
And so here I am. And at the time, my first wife worked for KGH as a critical care nurse. So, I mean, it all worked out,
So we didn't really finish the thought, I don't think, about. So you end up in Kingston.
Yeah.
You're doing all of that. How does that ultimately lead to pickleball?
Yeah.
Did you find it? Did it find you? And I'm intrigued by that moment.
Yeah, I was. I played badminton for most of my life.
Okay.
Hockey, baseball, badminton. Those were my primary sports.
Sure.
And so basically, I was just playing at. If you're a Kingston person, you've heard of Beach Grove. It's now not a gym anymore to play sports, but we were playing badminton, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "Hey, can you play pickleball tonight?" And of course, didn't know what that was, never heard of it, and so I came out with my wife. We were hitting balls back and forth, had no idea what was going on. But I mean, the cool thing about the pickleball and one of the main reasons it's so popular and it caught on so quickly, as I always tell people in their first new player lesson, is if you're going to start a sport, okay, we can look at padel and we
Right.
can look at pickleball, okay?
Right.
Padel, I think it costs $250,000 to build a court.
Yeah.
Okay. Pickleball, they just steal a badminton court. Pickleball goes to a tennis court outside in the middle of the night when nobody's looking.
That's right.
Under the cover of darkness.
Of course.
With some tape, painter's tape, and they all of a sudden have 4 pickleball courts on a tennis court. So anyway, it was a badminton court and played. And after about 10 minutes, the gentleman who was leading us in playing asked my wife, he said, come over here. And he brought her over to a wall. And he said, just hit against the wall. And then we carried on. And I was okay with that for about 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then I was like, man, this is
Right.
uncomfortable.
Sure.
Just because he wanted to have a challenging game. So end result is my wife actually became quite a great player. And she's very competitive. She's very fit. Opposites attract. Anyway.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah. And everything worked out okay. But so that's how I came to it. And then,
Wow.
went to at that time, was very, very difficult. I mean, I'm talking 2013, to find a place to play.
Yeah.
And so we went to the YMCA, and they had pickleball, I think, every Sunday or something like that in the afternoon.
Sure.
Met another gentleman named Victor, who is he's one of my best friends forever, and an amazing human being. And we were both passionate about it, and then we just started playing together and getting competitive and so on. In the club, I could teach higher level, I believe. I've done okay in tournaments, and I think I understand the game at a decent level. And Nadal's coach could never beat Nadal, just so you know. So, like, if you're a great player and you're like, I could beat David in 2 seconds, I could still teach you something. Doesn't mean I'll beat you, but I might notice something. But anyway, backing up. So I like to teach all of the new players. Okay. So when I got this job, that was the one area I was like, you know what? I just want to do the new player lessons. I want every single player, when they first come to the Dome and they learn that very first time, I just want to chat with them and kind of give them I just want to, I guess, shape their first visit. And and that's what I do. And I try to, like I say, I want to be encouraging. And the people that come, okay, many, many times it's just one person. Sometimes it's two people that are a couple. But it's brave, especially the older you get. To try something you've never done before. And a lot of these people have never played a racket sport, or they haven't played something in like 30 years because they've just kind of wrapped up a career, or they have a bit more time. Sometimes very young people. I have a gentleman right now in a lesson. I think he's like 12 or 13. He just loves pickleball.
Wow.
But anyway, so I firstly would say to these people, I'd say, listen, you guys are brave. Thank you for coming, because it's not easy to do something new, and it's uncomfortable, and so it takes a little bit of brevity to try something, and then be patient and get better and so on. And if they are willing to do that, then we get going. There's no anxiety, I don't believe, because we try to do it nice and easy, joking around, encouraging. There's different things, like if somebody doesn't know how to serve right away, there's little things we can do to make it so much easier. And you basically just want to make everybody feel successful and be successful. So when we do a new player lesson, another reason why I like to do them is it's my belief the quicker you can get people actually playing a game, and it's ugly.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Just get them playing. So if we do 90-minute new player lessons, and my goal is 40 minutes. By 40 minutes in, we're playing a game.
Good.
And then I'm praying as I'm, kind of at the net in the middle, just watching things go back and forth. I'm praying, and I'm not religious, that we'll see a rally of more than 2 shots.
Yeah.
And then I just watch them, and I want them to have a great experience, and I want them to have fun and have the adrenaline start flowing when it goes back and forth and all that kind of stuff. And and then what's great is, so most of the time people sign up just for one lesson. Okay. But we really prefer they do 3, and even 3 is very, very basic. But so anyway, so 90% of the people sign up for one 90-minute lesson.
Right.
And then what we do, it's kind of a loss leader. And then my goal is, let's say if I have 8 people doing one lesson, how many people are we going to convert to do 2 more lessons? Okay. Some people sign up for the 3 right out of the gate. And so at the end of the lesson, and I say, okay, guys, it was so nice meeting you. If you guys have any questions, whatever. And then as well, I follow up, email them and everything, just because, when you're teaching people, it's a lot of talk. And so I tell them, look, don't worry about listening. You're going to get an email, and you can just look at it at your leisure. But anyway, I would say 70, 80% of these people say, you know what, let's do 2 more lessons.
Sure.
So that way it's good for them, because the other side of that is, you know what, not everybody's going to like it. But at least if they give it 90 minutes, they give it a try and just see if they like it, then great. And maybe I wasn't the best coach for them. You know how it is. Not everybody learns the same way, and I'm that way.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, just making sure that people are exposed to it and play quickly, because like you said, playing is the thing. And then after that, in the second, third lessons, then you can go back. Okay, let's work on the serve. Let's take our time and let's do this. And you can help them with all of the fundamentals. You still get to play in the second and third lesson, but those people are actually hooked to a certain degree, and then you can just go ahead and slow down and go, okay, guys, you guys know this is fun. Now let's do shot selection, strategy, and positioning.
Sure. Yeah, it's such a moment, David, and you know, when I've been there and I've seen you come off the court and you've had a lesson with some beginners or new players, it's interesting for me as I step into my game to watch a few of them linger. It's interesting because I see them in the background and they've just come off the court with you. They've maybe hit the pickleball for the first time in their life, but they're so interested. They're watching. And I did a lot of watching in my first couple of years. Like I would literally just go in and just sit and watch players, better players, and try to get a sense of their court management and how they set up the shots. And you know, I learn better watching than doing. I find when I start doing, my brain takes over and I get back into all my old habits. But if I can sit back on the sidelines and watch a better game, you know, a game where I maybe would like to level up into, so it's really encouraging for me to see the beginners wanting to linger every so often. They might stay for 10 or 12 minutes. They're not there for the next game, but they're trying to take it in. They're trying to absorb it. And they have a deeper appreciation now when they do watch a higher level game and how we're moving the ball around, or the more experienced players are moving the ball around versus what they just did. And I think for some of them, they say, wow, I can get there. But, you know, on that note, if there's another thing to love about the game, there's so much to love about it. I think it's a fact that it doesn't really matter. And you can plug into this at whatever level you're comfortable with. You can find your tribe, find your group, and go out and have 2 hours of the best time of your life. Let's jump right into Pickleball Authority because it's on the list today of things I really want to talk to you about. It's a great time to do that. So thanks for that. It's tell me about it. When did it start, and how much of your day is it taking up? And if you don't mind, and maybe this is not public knowledge yet, and perhaps you don't want to share this, but you did mention, I think, a terrific decision that you've made as far as the manufacturers that you're supporting. So give me some backstory on Pickleball Authority, and you know, we'll certainly leave contact points in the show notes at the end of all of this, but I'd love for you to expand on that for me.
So I mentioned a gentleman earlier named Victor.
Yes.
So Victor and I, as I mentioned, we met at the YMCA when we both first started playing. He was a former tennis player. I was a badminton player, and I continued playing badminton for a few years after pickleball, but eventually just stopped. But anyway, we decided, like, we were so into it and we both really wanted to win every game. And so we started trying to find tournaments.
Sure.
And I remember the first tournament we went to, this was a horrible experience. So Victor would always leave it to me to be the one to, like, go on the computer and sign us up and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So I signed us up for some tournament. I think it was the Eastern Canadian Championships in 2013 in Kitchener, Waterloo.
Right.
Very nice area. And we get there, and there's all these Americans. And I'm like, wow, this is like, I mean, that's interesting. Maybe they don't have tournaments in the U.S. or something.
What's going on?
So we were playing against people that, if you looked on YouTube, they were like the top players in the world at that time. But we had no idea. People coming in from California and New Jersey and everything. And so we were getting beat in each game 15-1. Okay. And every single one, it was like they went to school. You would always get 1 point. And that was just so you didn't lose 15-0. So they wanted to, kind of keep you in the game. So I apparently had signed us up in an open category or something like 18 plus. I had no idea about levels, So anyway, that was our first experience. Eventually figured out that there are levels in pickleball. But at the time, the reason all those American people were at that tournament was because in 2013, there were hardly any pickleball tournaments anywhere. Right. So the sport had not exploded yet. So Victor and I, we got past that experience, and then we started playing tournaments everywhere. And being from Montreal, when I had the option, in Kingston, you're halfway to Montreal, you're halfway to Toronto, you're 90 minutes from Syracuse, and you're 2 hours from Ottawa at best. So I was like, you know what? Whenever there was a tournament in Montreal, I would want to go to Montreal. I get to see some family on the way there and have some greasy poutine and steamies and all that. Exactly, diet of a champ. So, and Victor really enjoyed getting to know poutine and smoked meat and all that stuff. He had never experienced that. So yeah, and we'd have a blast. So we were going to all these tournaments. Everything's going great. And then my wife said, hey, excuse me.
Hello.
You're spending a lot of money on these tournaments. Like every weekend, every other weekend, you're in a tournament and everything. So I said, you know what? You're right.
Sure.
I'll stop. And so Monday morning, she went to work, and I worked from home at the time. And I started looking up pickleball companies and eventually connected with Onyx. Okay. So Onyx was, I think probably still are, like either the top equipment provider in the sport or they're in the top 3 now. and they were based in Montreal. So anyway, everything worked out perfectly. I talked to my wife that like they wanted me to sell their products.
So sorry, just so I understand, you reached out to Onyx then at that point and said, "Hi, this is who I am.
Yeah,
I love pickleball."
Yeah, I reached out to a bunch of companies at that time. Mike, there were probably only 10 companies. There was like ProLite, Paddle Tech, Selkirk, Onyx, but not very many companies that were selling pickleball.
Right.
And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of find out if I could be. I had a great job, but I just wanted to kind of rep their product, like be able to, because you'd go to a tournament, there'd be nobody.
Right.
Like, you know, I thought, you know what, if somebody sets up a table with balls and paddles and whatever, you might make, you know, it's a good idea. You make some money and people can try them at the event. Now, nobody tries a paddle at a tournament, just so you know, because they have their paddle and they're so, you know, concerned about winning. But at least you're exposing them. And then eventually everybody was, now you can't, you probably have to pay and so on. So anyway, I went back to my wife. And I said, listen, you know, I have to go to these tournaments. I apologize. I now work for Onyx. And that's how we started. That's how I got into it. And then she was cool with it. And then I just started playing more and more and more. And so then we actually we went with Onyx, which was what was really cool was they said, you know what, before I started, they said, can we meet you? And I said, sure. I'll come up. It was like July. So Alice and I went up for a road trip, sat in the office, and they say to me, well, listen, we have a sports trade show in Niagara Falls at the Scotiabank Center, and we need 2 people to teach people what pickleball is, because we sell to like 300 stores that are going to be at this, like the people that own the stores.
Right.
And we need them to buy equipment, but they don't know what pickleball is. You know, so can you, you know, both like, can you, you know, you and somebody come up here and for 2 days we'll set up a court and you can just show people how to play and we'll pay you. And in my head, I'm like, oh my goodness.
I just hit the mecca.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a professional sports athlete.
I love
you know,
it. Well, and you look the
paid.
part,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both my chins. So I'm like, okay, let's do this, you know? And I said, guys, perfect. I got a buddy named Victor. He's awesome. And all of a sudden I feel an elbow in my ribs. And I said, actually, Alice and I would love to do it.
You picked up on the cue right away.
And now, to be completely fair,
yes,
we get down to up to Niagara Falls, and Alice is much bigger draw than me, and a much bigger draw than Victor. She's beautiful, and so it was perfect. Like, you know, we had people coming over probably just to chat with her a little bit, but at the end of the day, we taught so many new people. We had a blast. Sold lots of equipment, learned everything, and I'll tell you one last thing.
Yes.
At that time, I'm looking at all the different paddles. I think they had like 10 different paddles, you know. One paddle was a Sub-Zero, I think it was, Onyx Sub-Zero, $159.
Wow.
I'm like, what idiot
is going to put that kind of money down for a paddle?
And and as you can see in 2026,
yeah,
I'm right. Like nobody pays more than what does a boomstick cost? Like $500?
Well, but there's a mortgage program for that.
Yeah.
You mortgage your house or one of your kids. It's either or. But yeah, the sports guy, I want to touch on that hopefully today if I don't forget, but where the sport's heading and part of it's at cost. But what a great story. Well, I didn't know that story.
So then I named my company. So I get into it. I'm selling product all over, you know, Ontario and different places.
Sure.
To stores mainly, but then I start selling and then I'm like, okay, I better set something up. So I set up my company, thirdshotdrop.ca or whatever, thinking, oh, this is the perfect name. Nobody has this domain. Well, that was a terrible decision.
Why?
Because unless you're one of the 6 people that played pickleball in 2013, 2014, 2015, no idea what that is. Yeah. So eventually I changed the name to Pickleball Authority because there used to be Sports Authority in the U.S., which Dick's, anyway, there were some issues with Sports Authority eventually went down. They had venture capitalists and they went bankrupt, etc. But Dick's kind of took over. But I could have gone with something to do with Dick's, but I didn't think that was appropriate. So I just went with Pickleball Authority because I thought, you know what, it hasn't been taken. What a great name.
Yeah. And
so on. I want to just say one thing about selling equipment, okay? I don't want to be known as a pickleball seller of products and so on. In fact, I'll be completely candid with you. I really need to have sheets in front of me because people want to know about the paddles and there's so many paddles and they're, what is this one going to do, etc. So I like to that's one of the things that I love about my store is people can try, go on a court, play for a couple hours, take 2, try this one, try that one. That's the best way to figure it out. Okay. What's going to work for you. But I was going to say there was a cartoon I saw. I don't know if you've seen this, and there are 2 wickets. Okay, one wicket, it says pickleball lessons, and there's a person there running the booth, and then the other one is new paddles, and there's somebody there. While the line with the people for new paddles is like 50 feet deep.
There's nobody at the lessons.
The one on the lessons, the person's there half asleep texting.
Yeah.
So yeah, people will generally blame their equipment. Then, I mean, this is what I do. I blame my equipment first, then my partner,
100%.
and then bad line calls from the other side.
Yeah, well, those 3 together are going to ruin your day. There's
Absolutely.
no question. You know, it's funny to think about pickleball today, David. You've made some great points there. Thank you. About the access to technology and paddles and balls and clothing even. We haven't talked about clothing and feet and shoes and sweatbands. But, you know, to go back, and I wasn't there at 2012, 2013 when this all started becoming a thing. And I think maybe we don't, as newer players, me included, have an appreciation for the fact that this is still a relatively new sport in Canada. And it took a long time to come out of Washington. I mean, when it was developed all those years ago with Barney McCallum and his group of gangsters. And, you know, it's interesting. I think those coming into the game today don't understand the history. I'm talking to a gentleman this afternoon that organized the first tournament in the USA in 1976 called the Bicentennial Tournament. Steve Peranto, the Hall of Famer, played in it. We start drawing lines back to the history of the game. You don't realize what a slow start it had. And the explosion of it in the last couple of years has really elevated everything, including paddles, technology, clothing. So fascinating. Keep going on Pickleball Authority because you've made a decision as a business owner, as a Canadian.
I had been carrying. I didn't actually care where products came from as long as they were good products, you know. So I love Selkirk. I still have a Selkirk paddle in my bag, and of course I was representing Onyx.
Right.
Now, what I liked about Onyx, even though they're based in Evansville, Indiana, was that they actually invested in Canada well before everything changed. You know.
Sure.
So 10 years ago, we had a head office in Laval outside of Montreal, and we had 15 people that were Canadian that were paying mortgages, rents, whatever, spending money in the community. So they actually invested in Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I didn't care. I thought that's perfect, and I love the products. I still do. So then, of course, things change, etc. And now one of the first things is when I purchase one brand's equipment, I made the decision, because I'm a small business and I'm not rich, I don't want to have to deal with custom brokers. I want to try and do it myself. Kind of like what you did with the studio.
Right.
You did it all on your own to save money, and you did a great job, right? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to I research custom brokerage, etc. So then I ordered product from the US. I would have it shipped over to New York. If you're not familiar with the geography here, we can get to the border in about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I would just drive over to a little hardware store.
Yep.
Lots of people do it. And you pay like $5 a box or something. You pick the stuff up, then you come back to the Canadian border, and then you tell them, hey, I got a bunch of stuff. I need to go in. And then you type on this old computer, I think it's from 1993 or something.
It is.
And you've done this? Have you done this?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who hasn't?
Yeah. And then, you fill out this paper, and you try to remember the codes and all this other stuff, and country of origin. Then you get to deal with a surly border person. And I respect, in all seriousness, I respect the border agents. I respect the police. I respect the firefighter. I respect everybody. Prison guards. It's a horrible, hard job, and thank you very much for your service. But at the same time, do not make mistakes on those sheets, because those border agents, they don't have any time for you. So anyway, so it was quite a process. I'd have to go over there, and I mean, I loved all their products and everything, and they would sell well, but it was quite an ordeal, and then bring it back in. So when things changed, I didn't want to visit Ecuador or any of the prison systems in any of those other countries. I don't want to visit our prison system. So I was like, you know what, enough's enough. And at the time, I'd already known that there was Black Knight, and I knew about Combat. And
sorry to stop you. These are Canadian manufacturers of paddles?
Pickleball equipment, yeah.
Okay.
So they make paddles, and they make some other stuff.
Great.
So, and then Booma. So there's three major suppliers that make paddles. They are Canadian. people that make paddles,
Sure.
and other equipment. And you know what? The quality of the products is fantastic. And so the only difference between a big American company, and Combat, for example, is marketing money.
Yeah.
I mean, Combat, the guy that runs it, is fantastic, and he really is proud of his product, and the raw carbon in his paddles is like Touré, and he's excited to tell you like how great it is, and he's a passionate person about the sport because he plays it himself. So he's out in British Columbia. So anyway, that's basically what happened. So what I decided was, very quickly, I was going to actually launch something on socials around the Olympics, but I didn't get a chance. But yeah, we're just going Canadian. So as far as paddles, I'm getting rid of all my paddles that are not made in Canada. And one last thing I want to say, listen, I mean, this is probably going to be watched across North America, across the world, hopefully. I love America. Okay. I just want to say that, like, some stuff's happened obviously recently, and it's unbelievable. The whole world's affected now, and things are changing so quickly. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I'm pretty sure everybody else could say the same. So I have family in the U.S., all over the U.S. I used to love visiting the United States. I mean, if you ask Cracker Barrel, they know me. I got my picture in there. Yeah, I'm a
I
VIP.
thought you were the VIP guy at one point.
I love that place.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and I think with politics, what I learned when I was a kid in Montreal is, you know what? If you just listen to the politicians, you're in trouble. At the end of the day, especially if you were to get on a pickleball court, just saying, because we are talking about pickleball. When you meet people through pickleball, everybody gets along. It doesn't matter where you're from. I've talked to people that played in Saddam Hussein's palace after they got rid of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and they all played together, all the people that were fighting over there. But anyway, so getting back to this, so I decided, like, no offense to America, but I definitely don't agree with what's going on in the world. And so, yeah, I just want to support Canada. I always have wanted to support Canada. And then in turn, people have been very, very generous, and they've always been generous no matter what I did. I don't even understand it. Like, I can't believe how nice people are in this community and across Ontario and Quebec, like ordering online, etc. Clubs and governments and everything. They support my business, and I don't know why, but I really appreciate it.
Well, David, congrats on all that. Listen, I think when your moral compass starts to bounce a little bit, and mine guides me, I would say that if there's something my dad instilled in me, it was the concept of honesty and integrity. And I think, we're in a moment right now. I mean, we really are. And this is not a political podcast, and I'm not bright enough with my grade 12 education to even begin to have a conversation with you this morning about politics. But we are in a moment. We are really in a moment. And it will be interesting for you and I, pushing up against 60, to look back on today in our 70s, because this is going to sort itself out. Whatever this is, and I can't define it, it will sort itself out. But I applaud you 100%. I mean, having owned a small family business in Kingston, my wife and I was part of our family for 50 years. We believe in all of that and everything that you're doing. So I congratulate you on that decision. And I think the marketing point that you made a moment ago is well taken. And if there's a challenge in some of this, perhaps for you, and I think you're aware of this, it's that brand A has got so many marketing dollars behind it, and they've got the celebrity angles, and they've got the tournament endorsements, and so on and so forth. But these smaller Canadian companies, they're not going to have that kind of access to cash. So for someone like you to step up and say, listen, I'm going to take a personal interest in this, I'm going to invest in it, and I'm going to promote it. And let's segue into pickleball again, off the note of Canadian manufacturers. As a professional coach and as a player, David, and with all the experience you've had, can we do a little myth busting here? How important is that paddle? I mean, you take the average rec player, guy coming out to play, paddle in the rack, rotates into a game. Let's be honest, how important is that paddle to the success of his or her game?
Well, okay, so I'm not an expert on like high level skills or anything, but yeah, I mean, it used to be that we'd go to Montreal occasionally back in, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 years ago, and there was one woman playing there, high level, with a wood paddle.
Okay.
It was before like USAPA approved mattered, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, we have come a long way. So, I have people come to me every day and they're like, oh, I want a paddle. I'm thinking about getting a paddle. And then I say, can I see the paddle you're playing with now? And there was a lady yesterday, showed me a paddle. And I'm like, oh, wow, I still sell that paddle. And I said, well, that is a great starter paddle. It was like, $79. And
sure.
but things have come such a long way. So, I mean, the paddles are changing, and I think there's over 200 manufacturers now. So, the competition is crazy, and everybody's trying to get an edge. So, like right now, I kind of think raw carbon is the big thing. And then, the thicker the paddle, the more control and touch because it absorbs, and then the thinner, more power, etc. But when you're first starting out, I highly recommend not spending a ton of money on your paddle. Like, I think up to maybe $100 at the most is more than enough. If you're not sure you're going to play. And the other thing is, like, your game's going to change, right? So, however, I've seen somebody come to a lesson in the last year. Okay, so this person had never played before, but had a thick wallet, and he showed up with 3 Selkirk paddles. There's $1,200 in paddles. Never played a game. Well, so you do you. I mean, at the end of the day, you know what? It's got to feel good in your hand, and there's nothing wrong with starting out with something a little bit more expensive. But at the end of the day, the paddle shouldn't matter whatsoever when you're first starting. I would say in your first 3 to 6 months, most players just start with a basic paddle, just get in the game. Now, the nice thing about it is you buy like an inexpensive paddle, play with it for a little while, then you want to upgrade. Well, you keep that paddle because you're going to be an evangelist for pickleball. You're going to have like family coming home, kids from college,
for sure,
people visiting. You're visiting somewhere, you pop it in your suitcase, and voila,
and away
you teach somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of trust, at least as a player for me, and maybe I'm the only player who feels this way, but I think for me, what's in my hand is there's a relationship with it, if that makes sense to you. I've got to trust the paddle. I've got to feel that this is the right paddle for where my game is now. Now, I played for 3 years, and I would put myself in sort of, depending on the day of the week and the direction of the wind, somewhere between a 3-0 and a 3-5 player consistently.
Higher.
Well, that's kind. But I think the paddle and I have a trust, and it sounds corny to say, but a bit of a relationship. And even the number of wraps that you put on your paddle can significantly change the feel that you have as a player with that paddle. But I think personally, just looking at it from the outside in, David, way too much marketing money being pushed, people feeling compelled to upgrade, to spend $400 or $500 on a paddle. And on that note, and to go back to some of your shoe people, I don't think this industry, this game, talks enough about feet. I think the hands get all the attention, and I don't think the feet get enough, because if you're not properly grounded, whatever paddle you're holding doesn't matter. And I'm interested in your opinion on that. And you've been very generous, by the way, and I want to note this in the podcast today. You are putting me in touch with a couple of these Canadian manufacturers to get them on the podcast and to chat about their thoughts, not just on the product, because they're going to rave about it, and they should, because it's a great product, but also just about the industry and where it's going. But what are your thoughts on shoes? Are we as players not thinking enough about our feet? Because to me, it's a hand-foot game, and they complement one another. If you don't have good foot movement on the court, and whether you're talking squash, pickleball, badminton, paddle, any of these racket sports, the feet are so integral to the success of your game. How do you feel about that?
So 100%. I mean, you need to have a good footwear. Yeah. The first thing, I would even back up before you even get on a court, warm up. Warm up is so critical.
Sure.
Achilles tendon going up against the wall, and just making sure that you stretch and everything. I mean, the younger you are, it probably is not as much of a factor, but everybody should be warming up. Everybody, from like a 5-year-old to an 85-year-old, warm up. Because if you just get on, and when I say warm up, I don't mean hitting 4 dinks on the court. As you're sipping your coffee, which is my warm up. I mean, like,
I was going to say, I've yet to see your warm up routine, and I've seen you a bit. So you must do it in a private part of the building, because but I don't think I want to see you in yoga pants ever. So maybe that's a good
too
thing.
late. Too late. Yeah. That's what I came in today. No, but do what I say, not what I do. That's, I think, a parent thing, right?
Gotcha.
But in all seriousness, warm up first, like 100% off the court. Stretch, do whatever you need to do, even if it's 5-10 minutes. Anything is better than nothing, because I see so many people get injured. It's unbelievable. So as far as shoes, I mainly dealt with Acacia. A gentleman named Rashid, he owns it. Kind of a cool guy. He had been in broom ball shoes. He started with broom ball, then he did soccer and all this stuff. So Rashid is he's got 2 houses. He's got one in California and one in Orleans, near Ottawa, or I guess part of Ottawa. And he's really passionate about pickleball shoes. He loves pickleball, and they went from like having 1 or 2 shoes, and now I don't know how many types they have. But I kind of dealt with Rashid and Acacia shoes, and I think they do a good job. I mean, there's lots of brands that are out there, so whatever. The key with the shoes is they have the heel is up a little bit, right? Because when you get up to the front, when you get up to the non-volley zone line or the kitchen line, you need to kind of be in a downward kind of pose to a certain degree so that you can, you basically don't want to have to like raise your heels. You want the shoe to do that for you. So, and then the other thing is the lateral movement, right? Like you want to be able to go side to side. So critical. So that, you get all those balls and stuff. So yeah, like shoes are critical, shoes. And another thing, even more important than shoes, even more important than a paddle, more important than a ball, protective eyewear.
There you go.
Protective eyewear. I don't understand how it's not mandatory.
Yeah, it's a strange question because I've thought the same, and I've taken a couple in the head, which isn't helping today. But I've been saved a couple times. I wear prescription glasses. Do I like them? No. Are they comfortable? No. Do I think I look geeky? Yes. But I've got two eyes, and I want to keep them. And when you go online, and if anyone listening doesn't believe what we're saying here this morning, just Google pickleball eye injury. Just watch that 2-minute video and tell me how you feel then. And companies like Kitchen Blockers and those types of organizations are trying to find a way to get more people interested in doing it, because there is a certain glare, David, that if you haven't worn pickleball glasses before, or badminton or squash, depending on the lighting within the indoor environment, it can be a problem. But yeah, great point. So glad you touched on that. Thank you.
If I can just say one more thing about protective eyewear. So there are not just issues with getting hit with the ball. And it's not generally a person who has their paddle up and everything is doing everything right and the ball comes at them. It's very rare they're going to get hit in the eye. It is, as you know, it's the partner. Like most people are playing doubles in pickleball. It's not full court singles unless you have an AED machine close by. So basically it's 2 against 2, and maybe the ball comes off your partner's paddle at the last second. You have no time to react. No. So for me, I've had a cornea transplant, I've had cataracts, I had like every possible retina tears and everything. So I don't want to add to that.
Sure.
So basically that's why I really like protective eyewear. A couple of things about that. You mentioned the glare. Mm-hmm. So there is one brand that we carry. They actually have 3 lens choices in every pack with their glasses. It's a little bit more expensive, like $10 or $20 more, but it's so worth it.
Sure.
So you have like the blue, which is technically the anti-glare, clear, and then you have the shade for outside play. So that is one option. The other thing is, while glass, like protective eyewear with the traditional glass or whatever it is, it's maybe not as sexy because they may fog up, etc. The good thing about those is, no offense to any other brands, is if a paddle comes across like this, you got to have something. Yeah. You got to have glass. You have to have something protecting your eye because, otherwise you could get hurt. If you take some shaving cream very quickly, spray it on the lenses, have a shower, get out. We can do this later if you'd like. I can help you.
I've got some time.
Okay.
Sure.
And then clear it all off. It's getting very uncomfortable.
Some things you can't unsee.
Yeah.
That may be one of them.
So that will actually help with the anti-glare. Okay. With the glare, or not the glare, the fogging up. Right. Yeah, they're all on anti-fog, but it just helps, And then the last thing, I saw somebody do this. It's unbelievable. Okay. They want to protect their eyes. So Sherry, she's in Australia right now for the next couple of months, traveling.
Tough life.
And she bought 2 pairs of the exact same glasses. And what she does is, while she's playing, after 10, 15 minutes or half an hour, they're foggy, switches them out. So like your eyes, like you cannot replace your eyes. No. So just saying, because people spend $400 or $500 on a paddle, and then they don't want to spend like 90, like even what, 30, 40, $50 on eyewear. Just saying.
No, David, I think there's a shift that needs to happen in the game. I want to go back to what you said about the mandatory requirement for eye protection. I think Pickleball Ontario, Pickleball Canada, Global Pickleball Federation, I think we need to get a voice behind this, and it's just good for the sport. And I think if it was mandatory, it'd be interesting to see if people like Tennis Clubs of Canada decide to take a stand on that at some point, if for any other reason than liability, and just simply say, look, if you're going to play here, you need to do this. And that's a discussion maybe to have with Adam down the road. But yeah, good point. I just think the marketing dollars listen, these manufacturers are smarter than you and I put together, and they know that paddles drive sales and profit. And so they're not going to spend a lot of time talking about shoes or clothing. They're going to put most of those marketing dollars, I would assume, behind the profit center within their business, which is probably the paddles. It's interesting. Let's jump into the game for just a sec. And again, I'm watching the clock, and I want to be respectful of your time this morning, so we're going to wrap this up here before too long. But here's a couple of things that have happened to me as a player. I start in a game. I love the game. I'm playing normally at a rec social level. And then from there, I build some friends and I find some people that want to get a private game. And so I get invited into the private game and it's a little more competitive. And I'm deciding I like this and I want to level up and I want to start drilling. And so I start doing that and I start moving up the scale a little bit. So I'm a half decent player and I'm playing with some of these folks that are sort of at that level in the game. And it's going quite well, I think. And then I go on to court reserve one day to take a look for a court, and I notice, gee, there's 7 guys that I used to play with, and now David's with them. And why am I not in that group anymore? What happened? How do you deal with that? You've been around this game for a long time. And the reason I'm asking, it's not about me, and I'm not asking you to be my therapist this morning, although I'd appreciate some help with it. It's more, David, because I see it as a problem within the game. I see very few issues with pickleball, but that's one of them. One of them is as these little groups start developing, the egos start taking over, and all of a sudden somebody's not getting invited into a game. And I can tell you from having dozens upon dozens of conversations with people that have found themselves in that position, we're struggling as players when we find ourselves excluded from a game that we feel we should be part of. What's your professional opinion on that?
Well, so I'm not. I am competitive, very competitive, but then I'm not competitive, and so I want everybody to feel like they belong. I want everybody to have a great experience, and that's not just because I run the center, the club. That's just the way I am. Like I love the game, and I want everybody to have a great experience. So, couple things. I mean, I like to play with the people that I think are fairly high level. It doesn't mean that I actually belong there every week, but I like the actual personalities,
Sure,
and the people and so on. We've been friends for a while and so on. But at the same time, sometimes I'm not enjoying myself. And our club is very open concept, as you know. Mm-hmm. It's a dome. So, I mean, the ceilings are incredibly high, and it's just basically like there's 12 courts. And so many times as I'm waiting for somebody to collect the ball, or I'm just standing there and they're talking, and, in between games, I'm watching some ladies that play every week,
Sure.
And all they're doing, like they're having a blast and they're not that concerned with winning, losing, but I can hear them laughing and like every 2 seconds they're having and I'm like, gee whiz, maybe I should just be over. That's kind of where I want to be, because sometimes it gets too serious and I don't enjoy it. It almost turns me off the game. I'm not kidding. Like, and it's so like, I personally, my philosophy, and I'm sure most people are kind of like me in the fact that like you want to be challenged. You want to have good games and everything. You want to get better. I think most people do. But it's got to be fun. I mean, I'm like I say, we're we're pushing 60 here.
Yeah.
And what is the deal? Like it really matters.
It's funny, David. People seem to think that their game is somehow making the world a better place. And it really is a pickleball pain point for me. That in combination with the fact that certain players who have leveled up, absolutely refuse to, quote unquote, play down. I remember a story very clearly from when I first started. And yes, listen, I wasn't particularly good. I didn't know where the ball was going, but I was trying my best. And there was a game going on, excuse me, of some better players. And one of the guys gets hurt. And I'm just there watching. I mentioned earlier I used to go and watch. So I'm sitting on the sidelines watching. Buddy goes down with an injury. And so they can't continue the game. They're down to 3 players. So one of the guys comes over and says, hey, do you want to jump in? Boy, I couldn't get my shoes on fast enough. So I'm laced up and ready to go. And I go to step out in the court. And one of the other guys goes, yeah, we're good. And I go, sorry? He goes, yeah, we're fine. We'll just call it a day. And I just thought, wow. So he waved me off. So here's a guy that would rather not play than give a guy who's trying to learn the game a chance to come into the game. And that just didn't sit well with me. And so the combination of people not being included in groups that they think they should, not being invited into, for a 3-0 player, David, to step onto a court with, let's just say, a 4-0 player is the experience of a lifetime. I mean, I remember that feeling the first time I got into a game I didn't belong in, and just so thrilled that those folks would let me kind of come in, and you can learn a great deal. And I'd argue, I'm going to argue a lot on this one because it bugs me. I think those better players can take that as an opportunity to maybe work on the reset or the drop or, whatever they're struggling with, because everybody struggles. I wish we could fix that. I advocate for it, and I really wish. And so at the risk of embarrassing you, because you don't take compliments particularly well, the culture that you've created at KRC is magical. I've never felt that in my time there. You've just done an amazing job, and there are more smiles and giggles and laughs happening within that building and within that bubble. And so congrats on that.
Thank you.
I don't want to miss that today.
So let me back up. Thank you for that. It's very kind. You're always so complimentary. I appreciate it. But I just want to back up and say one other thing about competitive people playing together, okay?
Sure.
And my group. And they can watch this. I hope they watch this. So, we start out and everybody kind of comes together as a group. And then they say, well, this person, Joe, we talk after. Yeah. Joe, he's too competitive. He's intense. He's too intense. We can't have Joe in the group anymore.
Get rid of Joe.
And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I've been through a lot of my life, like challenges and annoying people and so on. And you know what? Yeah, Joe is a very annoying person. I agree. But off the court, Joe is like one of my best buddies.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, we don't want Joe in the group anymore. He's just too intense. All right. And now it's always fun. It's easy to say, I don't want this person in the group, or I don't want to play with this person on high enough level, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. If you're not the one trying to get 4 or 5 people or 8 people every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever.
Sure.
Because then all of a sudden they're limiting your choices. Yeah. And now you've got like 7 people and it's like 6 hours before game time and you can't call on that person because nobody wants to play with. And then what happens is some of the people that didn't care for the person that was too aggressive or too intense become that person.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody could
have you seen that?
Oh, 100%.
No, but they become hard to play with and very similar. Yeah. So I don't know. For me personally, like most of the people I play with, I love playing with. Yeah. I think the bigger the group probably is better because then you don't have to go back and forth head to head with the same people too much. You could, of course, try and communicate. That might be a thing you could do. But the other thing is the nice thing about what I get to do, and I mean, I'm being honest. Like it's hard. Like I'm not good at. I fall down a lot because of this. I believe it's ADHD, laziness. I have no idea, but like trying to make sure that you have enough levels and enough space for everybody to make them feel welcome and to find the right group of people.
Sure.
That's the key. Like, and luckily we have 12 courts. We got, basically we're open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week.
Yeah, lots of access. Lots of access.
So, and then what you just need to do is like find the right people. And then when people get together, like if you're in a group, okay, if you're playing socially in any group, don't just think it's going to last forever. So just like, grab your phone. And if you like a couple of people, you meet a few people, you know what? Sure. I really like that person. Like Mike and Fran, they seem really nice. Let's go. Hey, would you mind if at some point we rented a court? I mean, I love playing with you and I can learn something or whatever. It's just a lot of fun. Do that because, if you're the change, like, I think they say be the change.
Be the change.
Yeah. So like if you're not feeling included or you played with a group and then they don't invite you anymore and you walk by the court and you're like, oh, okay. Turn a negative into a positive. It's not acceptable. Like everybody should be welcoming. Or if you're inviting somebody because you need a player and it's not really going to be a permanent thing, just be honest with the person.
Sure.
Just say, listen, we have a set group. And we really mainly have enough players, but if you don't mind once in a while, we'll give you a shout. If you don't mind, just be honest up front with people. Yeah. That way their expectations are
I love that.
appropriate, but it's all about communication. And like I say, I mean, I see so many people start their own groups and they start with one court and all of a sudden every week they've got like 4 courts. It's unbelievable. And they keep bringing in new people. And
yeah, well, that's what's happened to me at KRC. I came in kind of with the seniors group in Kingston, and I think they do a lot of good for seniors. So I want to support them. So I signed up for some of their programming, and then I got playing, and then somebody came up to me, I think probably the second time I was there, and said, "Hey, we've got a Sunday Tuesday game. We'd love to have you." And so I'm in the Sunday Tuesday game, and I do seniors twice a week. And so I'm getting lots of pickleball, too much curling. I know that's a problem between you and I. I hope it doesn't break us up, but it's almost over. But I think, David, that's the magic to it. Is a great point. Thanks for saying that. I think you just kind of got to deal with it. It is what it is. And I love the point about groups don't last forever. Sometimes things shift and they go. And the other point, very quickly, before we kind of wrap up here today, is that I think we have to be honest with ourselves. We don't always play at exactly the same level. We have better days, whether it's diet, nutrition, sleep. We got some stuff on our mind. We're not feeling well. We're a bit under the weather. Nobody, including Ben Johns and Annalise Waters, is consistently, their bandwidth of difference is slightly narrower than mine and yours. I mean, you and I can go from a 3-0 to a 4-0 in a heartbeat. We can actually do that game to game, not just day to day. So let's be real about that. There's not a player that plays at a rec level that isn't going to see some of that fluctuation in just hand-eye coordination. It's a difficult game in that regard. So I'm glad you touched on that, because it's been a bit of a pain point for me. And and I think because I've experienced it a number of times, and maybe I'm a problem, and maybe that's where I need to start with it all. But I've seen it, and I've been around the game long enough to have talked to a number of different sort of rec level social players that have also experienced it. And I think it's something we need to talk about. So
I'd like to just say, so in your case, I know that you're way too hard on yourself.
Sure,
okay?
Perhaps.
No, you are 100%. Okay, because I see how well you play and everything, and I'm gonna say that 96% of pickleball people, especially when they start out, they are too hard on themselves. So like, people get to a new player lesson. At the beginning of a new player lesson, I go around the horn. Okay, so we got 8 people. I now tell people to come 10 minutes before the lesson, because I like to talk, as you may have noticed.
Sure, we've done good. Yeah,
yeah.
Good this
so
morning.
I say to them, like, when I send an email before people come for their first lesson, I'll say, listen, like, get there 10 minutes early if you don't mind. And then I go around and I say, okay, listen, thanks guys for coming, whatever. Appreciate you. I would like you to go around, and I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. I don't care what you tell me. Are you from this area originally? Right. What other sports have you done? What do you like to do right now? What are your hobbies? And if you've ever met anybody famous, I prefer a negative encounter, but that's okay.
Right.
Just more interesting.
Some dirt.
Exactly.
Right.
So then, so they go around, and then they talk about themselves, and that's to try to build community. And it's also, I'm selfish. Like, I'm very interested in knowing who these people are. It's nice to see a good group of people, and hopefully we'll be friends after. So then we play. Okay. So I've never played. I don't know how I'm going to do, and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And then an hour later, they miss a drive or something, like they've never played before. They never hit a pickleball. And then they're after the game, oh yeah, I can't believe I missed. Excuse me, you've been on the court like an hour. You didn't know how to play an hour and a half ago. You were at Starbucks.
Sure.
And now you're like, so that's the thing. Like, so many people are
advice.
hard on themselves. So just remember, like your age, and like you were saying, and all the other different factors and everything. And just try and be consistent, and that's pretty much all I have to say.
I think play with passion's a good way to approach it too. If you're out there to have fun and you're playing it, the best you can, there is a certain reflection that you might get from your playing partner. I remember a game, very quick story, David. We were going along, and it every time I did something wrong, missed a shot, I could see him and hear him. There was sighs, there was eye rolling, and so I called for a timeout, which you don't normally do in a game like that. But I said, I just need a second. I pulled him aside and I said, listen, this game just shifted. He goes, what do you mean? I said, a minute ago, it was me and you against those 2 guys. Now it's me against those 2 and you.
Good for you.
And he looked at me and said, what are you talking about? I said, listen, the eye rolling and the sighing isn't working. And I said, if you think that's helping, it's not. Because now I'm basically turtling, and I'm worried about what you're thinking. So I'm not even worried about those guys. I'm not thinking about where I'm shooting or placing the ball, or I'm just worried about you rolling your eyes. So can we knock it off? And this is a very famous guy in this area, and everybody would know him. But we're not mentioning names, which is unfortunate, because that could be fun. But yeah, it doesn't help the game, David. And
it's horrible.
You feel it was terrible. A bad experience. And I laughed. Listen, we had the numbers. I think we had 2 courts, 9 guys, so we had a spare. So I went to the organizer at the end of that moment and I said, listen, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this. I've got a short list of people I won't play with, and it's 2. And this person's one of them. So, it's not worth it. It's not
that's
worth it.
horrible. And I know, because I've been in that situation. And that, like, a thing will happen is you'll go to somebody will ask you to play in a tournament. And you're like, okay, like in my head, I really don't actually enjoy tournaments anymore.
Right.
Because what do I care? I just want to play with people I like and have fun, right? And you can have like some amazingly competitive games just with people that are like, that you hang out with all the time.
Yeah.
But so you say yes, and then you go to a tournament, you travel there together, and all this other stuff, and like you say, and then you're doing your best. Like, what do you think here? You think I'm not trying?
No.
And then they're smacking their paddle or they're huffing and puffing. It's like, come on.
It's particularly awkward too when the Holiday Inn Express messes up the room and it's a twin bed.
Head
you're
to
there
feet.
for the weekend. It's not good. It's
Head
not
to
good.
feet.
It's not, so it doesn't help, especially if you're not getting along on the court. Yeah, listen, somebody said to me when I first started, great advice, it rings true today. And that advice was, listen, Mike, no one likes to win 11-2 and no one likes to lose 11-2.
Yeah.
And I understood what that meant better as the game progressed. I didn't necessarily grasp that in the moment, but what it was an experienced player who said, listen, we want competitive games. We don't like to see it. And listen, I get pickled. I'm sure you've been pickled. People listening have been pickled. People listening right now may be pickled in a different way. Who knows? I mean, maybe the podcast is better if you are pickled. But
the people that, and one last thing I'll say about like the high level people or whatever. It's like, here's something that I used to do, and now I try not to do it. Okay, like I was trying to be helpful, and I just don't do it anymore. So you'll think you're a better player than the person you're playing with. Okay,
sure.
And so you might say, hey, can I just give you like a little bit of feedback? And they'll be, oh, sure, I'd love to have feedback. Oh, you're kind of like running and hitting at the same time, just whatever it is. Okay,
sure.
I guarantee you, the next shot that comes to you, you're hitting it in the net, you're hitting it out.
100%.
And so then I always, whenever I would give advice, I would make the next shot would be a huge mistake on my part. I would feel like an idiot because I'm like here I am trying to pretend I'm better or whatever.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I just cracked it into the net, and I'm like, okay, kind of feel sheepish right now. Just keep my mouth shut for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So like that's the other thing. Like you said, like sometimes you're playing great, and another time you come in and it's just not happening. The timing's off a little bit. So be very careful about who you kind of treat poorly or whatever. In fact, obviously, just be nice to everybody, but unfortunately that doesn't happen. But just try to remember that, when somebody's having a bad day or whatever, try to lift them up. Mm-hmm. Like, just be like, hey, it's not a big deal. Like, you're doing great, and tap the paddle and all that kind of stuff. And let's go. Just keep it positive, because that's the bottom line. I mean, we're there to have fun. Like, that's all it's supposed to be about, is having fun.
And listen, if you get into a lopsided game, if there's one advantage to a lopsided game, it's over quickly.
Yeah, that's right.
So the guy that doesn't want to be with you doesn't have to be with you for a whole lot of time, because it's going to be over in 4.5 minutes. So just, let it go. We walk out of that building every day, David, after playing, and we have not in any way made the world a better place. We may have enhanced our lives. We've made friends. We've made acquaintances. That's great. But in the broader sense of the world and all that's happening, to go back to our earlier conversation, we're not changing the world. And let's not forget about that. So a couple final questions, and then I got to let you go because I know you got a job. Tell me what concerns you about pickleball today, the direction that it's going. What threat is there to pickleball? Is it other racket sports possibly coming into play and stealing some of the pickleball audience? Is it technology getting ahead? Is it big money, big tournaments? There's lots of turmoil happening now with Major League Pickleball. And what, as a player and as an advocate for the game, certainly is an important part of the game here in this region and beyond, what bugs you right now? What is there? You got your eye on something? Is there something that's worrying you about the game?
No. Good. No, that's not the answer.
Oh,
I just thought
it was
that
quick.
I was going to say.
No, it's all perfect.
Okay, so I honestly, there's not a lot that worries me about the game. I mean, one area that I would like to say is I kind of get concerned, and I've read about it and thought about it, is the paddles. The actual, some paddles, I mean, they're like rockets.
They are.
And I don't know. I heard that racquetball, I remember in the 80s, back in Montreal, in the West Island, if you're from Montreal, Beaconsfield, Kirkland, going to like the racket club and playing racquetball. Remember that?
Right. It was a big deal.
Yeah. And thinking, oh, this is kind of cool, but didn't really play that much, but tried it. And apparently the reason that racquetball crashed and like nobody hardly plays it anymore is because they kept on improving the quality of the rackets to the point where it was so fast nobody could hit the ball back. So then everybody just switched to squash.
Right.
You know, so I think that's the thing. It's like I personally find like some people are playing with these paddles, and it's like everybody else like on the court is playing with a normal paddle, and then they have these rocket paddles, and they make a lot of noise, and the ball is coming so quick. I think it ruins the game to a certain degree, especially maybe it's okay if all four people, but even then, if all four people have these paddles and the ball's coming off so quick. With power shots and stuff and drives. I don't know. I don't like it. Now, the other side of that is like, I mean, these people must be very, very skilled that have these paddles, because to be able to hit a soft shot, you got to barely be holding the grip.
Yeah.
And you got to have your timing down perfectly, because otherwise everything you touch is going to, if you're trying to hit a soft shot, you're probably hitting it high and they're smoking it on the other side. So like, that's the only area that I am not crazy about. I don't care, like as far as tournaments and PPA and whatever other groups there are and all that stuff. I mean, that's fine. I mean, there's good for those high level players, and people like to watch. There's lots of pickleball on YouTube and different pickleball channels and everywhere, and people want to watch and see the amazing athleticism of these people. Good for them. Like, it's fantastic. Of course, there should always be professional players in every sport, right? So I don't really. It's not a big deal to me as far as how many tournaments there are. I can say that we're at a point where there's probably too many tournaments.
Right. Yeah. A lot going on. Sure.
Yeah. Like everybody's like, oh my goodness, we can make money. Let's do a tournament. And I know you might think, well, not everybody's motivation is money, but there are a lot of clubs opening everywhere, chains and everything. And they're trying to make a quick buck to stay alive and keep going. Sure. So yes, while I think tournaments are great, and I think and everybody's not everybody, but I would say I think only about 20% of people actually play in a tournament. By the way, 80% of them just want to play recreationally and have a blast.
Good thoughts.
But anyway,
really
just saying. Thoughts. So I think like the only thing that I can see that's a bit of a hindrance is those paddles where they come off like a rocket. Sure. Otherwise, I think the sport's going in a great direction.
In good shape.
Absolutely.
Good. All right. Yeah, so paddle technology, I think, David, certainly something that a lot of people are talking about, and, power in your hand, and where does that end up taking us? But it's good to hear you think the game's in good shape. I'm wondering about other racket sports possibly coming in. I heard about a new game yesterday. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a variation of tennis with a softer ball, and I'll have to look into it. It's something I never even heard of. Tiku or Tip2 or something like that.
I've seen there's also another game that somebody was promoting. Well, it is everywhere, I guess, but it's very, very few people actually play it. But it's kind of, you're using a tennis racket, or no, it was bigger than a pickleball paddle. So it was a paddle, but bigger.
Okay.
And it was like a big tennis ball.
But it's got strings. Like a racket? No, it's a flat paddle.
Yeah, okay. And it was like kind of a tennis ball, and it bounced really high, but you were still playing on a pickleball court. I mean, I tried it, but I don't know. Yeah. I think like the thing with pickleball, you had said something a little while back, and I know now. I remember why.
Yes.
We spoke about sports betting.
Oh,
it was because when the reason pickleball is so successful and exciting and captivating is it's like what the casino says: know your limit and play within it.
Right.
So like there is a game for everybody. There's a game for 75-year-old people that only want to exercise a couple hours a week. And then there's a game for like a 10-year-old and their grandparent or their parents. There's a game for everybody, and basically you just need to know your limit and play within it. So don't try to do too much. That comes back to injuries too, where people are trying, like you said, it doesn't matter. Like when we leave the pickleball club, things are still the same everywhere, right?
That's right.
So for you to run and like a maniac and try and get to hit a shot, and then you end up pulling a muscle and you can't play for 2 months, I don't know. So same with a lob shot. Somebody lobs the ball.
Let it go.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know what? And my partner will look at me and they'll be like, and I'll say, listen, you know what? I think I don't know, it's 5-5 or something.
Sure.
Don't worry about it. We'll get the next one.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. All that to say, that's so basically like if people that's the reason it's so successful is because you can play at any level. So that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, it is, Dave. It's a great point. And, I think we do sometimes lose focus, and it's good to sometimes just have a chat and remind ourselves, what are we really doing here? Yeah, that's terrific. Final question, and then we can wrap up. But when you look at yourself and you look at your involvement in the pickleball community, David, here, what are you hoping your legacy is in 20 years? What do you think about it at all? I mean, it's a tough question. It's a pretty standard question. It's nothing original, but I really have to compliment you on what you've done there and how inclusive the club is. And I'm curious from your point of view, are you conscious of your commitment to the sport and your contribution to the sport? Because I think it's, without people driving this and being advocates and going back into 2013, 2014 and bringing the sport and making it more accessible and the things you've done with Pickleball Authority and now your current role with KRC, what Tennis Clubs of Canada is doing to grow the sport across a nation. And how would you like to be remembered? I don't mean to be morbid, but what are your thoughts on it? I certainly have an opinion of you, and
oh, thank you.
No, I do, and I'm so glad we've become friends. It's an important part of my day and week, and so I appreciate that. But where would you like to see it all land for you down the road?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been really, really blessed to have played this game. When I played badminton in Kingston, I had a really nice group of people that I got to play with. And then with pickleball, it just expanded because so many more people play the game.
Sure.
And then where I work, so I want to thank. I'm not just saying this because, like I said, I had 60 jobs, and I'm hoping this is the last one, but you never know, right?
It might be time. Settle down, young
But
man.
I want to thank. I actually appreciate the opportunity that they gave me to actually run this thing because it was a big deal. So they were only going to build a tennis dome, okay?
Oh, okay.
What happened was they contacted Bob Hurtubise, who's a wonderful person, in Kingston because he was kind of a pickleball guy. He'd been playing for many, many years, etc.
Sure.
And the city, I guess, was talking to the Tennis Clubs of Canada when they were negotiating the property, etc. And they said, you know what? Before you finish drawing everything up, maybe you should talk to this guy Bob about pickleball because they're constantly harassing us at the city to get more pickleball.
Sure.
So they ended up talking to Bob, and one thing led to another, and they decided to invest millions and millions of dollars to put another dome up for pickleball, and we do volleyball. But that was a huge decision, and it's like a multi-million-dollar decision.
Yeah.
The pickleball dome ended up opening first, which was kind of cool.
Sure.
And you know what? The pickleball dome is doing pretty well. There's competition, of course, like new clubs opening and everything. But it's doing fantastic. So first of all, I want to thank Tennis Clubs of Canada and the leadership, Terry and Adam and Stan and all the people at the top, Cody, for actually making that decision. It's pretty amazing. So then the next thing is they let me be a part of the growth and start it off and everything. So again, thank you very much. It's been an amazing ride. I just like teaching people how to play and trying to make sure that every single time somebody comes in there, if I'm there, I'm the Walmart greeter. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great day. Just be kind to everybody. One last thing I'll say about maybe just things that people will remember, hopefully, apart from my very, very poor sense of humor and bad jokes and everything, would be that Myra. Okay, so there's a lady named Myra that works at our club, and I feel like she's basically doing what I used to do, but she does it better. And that is when I used to rent a church gym space or a school gym space when you couldn't find anything, I would play music, in the background. And then I would be on the sidelines and I would get to talk to the different players, right? And eventually I was running 6 hours of groups. So I'd play in one group, but for the other 4 hours, I'm just kind of hanging out, right? So I'd play the music, but then I would hang out with everybody on the bench. And that was actually the most fun, was getting to talk to people about their kids, about their life, where you're going on a trip, health concerns, political, everything, whatever was happening at that particular time.
Yeah.
And Myra and I talk about that a lot. Myra is an amazing communicator and a great person. And so she loves that too. When we have extra players, just having the chance for 10 or 15 minutes to kind of chill on the sidelines and build that relationship. And so I think hopefully people, if they do actually remember me, will be oh, that guy was a good guy. He was pretty chill. He wasn't intense. He taught me how to play, and we had a lot of fun. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully, I have a dog named Monty that has become kind of a little star.
We love Monty.
Yeah, I got Monty about a year ago, and he's going to be 6 soon. And anyway, basically, I bring him to the club with me. He's like 25 pounds and a bit of attitude, but he is easily bought by treats.
Oh, 100%.
He would forget me in a moment if somebody else gave him a treat. But basically, he walks around like if you ever want to come visit our club, come check it out. He walks around the club with me, does not harass anybody for the pickleballs, could care less. We fix all the nets. We do like a net inspection every morning around all the courts. And he's by my side without a leash from the time we get there till the time we leave.
Yeah.
And so like I think people probably remember Monty more than me, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people want to be friends with you because they just want to get close to Monty.
Yes,
Are you
exactly.
okay with that? It's not about you, it's about your dog.
I understand.
Yeah, no, he's a star. He's great. He's a lot of fun, and he's a fixture. I mean, he's really a fixture there. So, well, David, I think that's a great legacy. I think you know, I don't think much about my legacy in pickleball, but I do as a dad and as a husband, and I think we all do as we age. I think it's inevitable. I mean, I'm thinking maybe more about it now than I was, and maybe this podcast in some small way is a way to capture that. There's a lot of reasons to do a podcast, and mine's not about monetization, and it's not about it becoming the biggest podcast in the pickleball space. It's about doing something that I'm passionate about and a chance to talk to those people that you've just mentioned who are sitting on the bench and have a story to tell. I can't tell you the number of interesting and fascinating people that I've met through the game, and without the game, it doesn't happen. And so I'm thankful to the game for all of that. So yeah, listen, I appreciate you being here today. I want to close by telling you how much I'm just thrilled to have met you, made your acquaintance, get a chance to get on the court with you every so often and play. And I want to publicly apologize that curling has somewhat taken over my life. I wasn't sure you'd show up this morning. I thought maybe I'd get a letter from you saying I'm not interested in hanging out with a guy that curls as much as you do. But it's over in another month. The playoffs are starting here, so I'll be back on a more regular basis, you know, starting hopefully in April.
I like playing with you, and I'm happy you made it back to our club and you play.
Yeah, I love it.
Because every time I get to see it, it's awesome.
Listen, this has been fantastic. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to bring up this morning? I mean, I want to thank you for everything you've done to help support the podcast. Being here this morning means the world to me. Connecting me with some of your manufacturers and gear guys is important. And there was one comment you made to me a couple of weeks ago, and that is, I have somebody at the club, a mystery guest that's going to come on the podcast. Is that person still on your radar?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah,
And
he's got an interesting background. I think you'd like him.
Okay,
Yes,
so we've
yes.
uncovered. See how tricky I was there?
Yeah, you
I
caught me.
almost got you to say his name.
You're kind of like the Columbo, the Peter Falk of pickleball.
If I put my hand in the air and say just one more thing, you know you're in trouble.
Wearing a trench coat.
Yeah. Listen, my friend, it's great to see you this morning. Appreciate all your time, and I want you to give my best to Monty.
Alice, too?
Well, I want to be careful there. I don't want to, you know, make you uncomfortable. Her and I talk quite often, so
Okay,
I don't
well,
know
then
if
I don't need
there's
to.
any reason for you to
Perfect.
say anything that I haven't already said this morning to her. But you did have to drive here, so there was a window of opportunity for her and I to connect and talk to you. No, listen, we got to meet. Both Fran and I got a chance, to, on a serious note, to have lunch with the two of you a while back, and we enjoyed every second of it. So
Yeah, same here. We love both you and Fran.
I appreciate it. Well, listen, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.